Episode of NRG Insights. For those that don't know, NRG Insights is a podcast in the financial services market which shares some insights and takes on some influential people in regards to lending, broking, and any kind of ancillary products in between. So today I have, for his pretend second appearance on the podcast, I've got Charlie Gregory from Glenhawk. Thanks for joining me, Charlie.
Thanks for having me, mate. Appreciate it.
I was going to say this before, but annoyingly, people that don't know, Charlie has done a parody of him being on my podcast and done an impression of me, which frustratingly has got more views than any of my podcasts. And people keep asking me, oh, is he coming on again? I'm like, he hasn't been on. So this is your first time on the podcast, so welcome.
First proper time, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, real time. So tell me about your financial services journey up to where you are now as BDM for Glenhawk.
Yeah, so what a lot of people, I guess, don't know about me, I was born in Paris, and then I moved to Japan for 8 years.
Is this real or not?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, carry on, please.
Mate, this is a professional podcast.
Sorry.
I was born in Paris and moved to Japan for 8 years. I came to England halfway through year 4, so that's when I came here. I'm obviously English, but I left school, left secondary school and college. I didn't really want to go to university. I didn't think it was for me. I wanted to get out into the real world. I didn't know what I wanted to do to a certain extent. I don't know what I want to do now still. But I knew that I wanted to get into the real world, if you like, and start making money and having life experience rather than going to uni and maybe drinking too much and not passing my exams, which could have happened.
Which is basically what you do in financial services.
It's not all I do, but
no, not all you. I mean, us as a whole.
Yes, as a whole, it's very, especially London. It's we drink like fish in London, so probably should calm that down a little bit. But you know, it's it is what it is.
Sorry, interrupted.
Yeah. So so my first proper job after college was a Nuffield Wellbeing Centre. So I was working behind the till in the cafe, making drinks, also behind the front of house, and also did a bit of lifeguarding there, that sort of thing, which was great. I think I was there for about a year, but I wanted to earn more money and challenge myself a little bit more. And one thing that I always knew was I feel like I'm good with people. I really enjoy speaking to people, getting to know people. Even at Nuffield Health, you know, like some of the older gentlemen and older ladies will come in and be like, oh, hi, Charlie. And, you know, I was forming relationships even in somewhere like that.
Yeah.
So I knew that I liked speaking to people, and I've never sort of found myself being one for like a 9 to 5 behind a computer screen in an office all day. I'd like to get out and about a little bit if I can. One of the friends of a friend or something worked in an estate agency. So I had that in mind where, you know, you form relationships. You're not just behind your screen all day. You can go out a little bit, meet people. And also the harder you work, the more money you get ultimately, because it's a commission role, which is something that I wasn't in. So I gave that a go. I really enjoyed it for a long time, but, you know, I was in the estate agency for a couple of years, just over, and I felt that I was putting in a lot of hard work, working 6 days a week, but the market I was, the market in the area I was working in wasn't the strongest. So
is that where you're working then?
Yeah, near here. So sort of West End, Lightwater, which I think West End.
You know my opinion of that area.
Yeah, you don't like Woking.
Next to your time.
It reminds you of me. So you should love it.
Sorry. So estate agency, where next?
So yeah, it's 6 days a week, and I was putting in all of this output, but I wasn't getting it back really. Putting the input in, I wasn't getting it back. So I sort of fell into an internal BDM role in buy-to-let mortgages, which I did for a couple of years, and quite quickly realised that I wanted to be out on the road and being the sort of the face of the company. And
I can imagine you sat behind a desk on the phone all day. Firecracker. I don't think you'd be like. Hey?
Did you say you can't imagine it?
I couldn't imagine you being nailed to a desk. Yeah, you're
behind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be a wild monkey.
Yeah, it wasn't. You know, it was different from estate. I probably enjoyed it a little bit because from going from estate agency where it was something like 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. and I was working Saturdays, I was then just doing Monday to Friday, 9 till 5. So in some ways I enjoyed that. But it only for a certain amount of time, because I like to be out there and I like seeing people face to face, and ultimately making some more money as well, which, you know, is the next step. You know, get the experience internally and then look to take that next step onto a more of an external role. There wasn't anything available in mortgages. I heard about bridging, like the idea of that you could structure a deal. It wasn't necessarily, here's your sort of, you know, massive book of criteria. If it doesn't meet any of that, then you can't do it. It's more sort of getting your teeth sunk in. And I mean, it's quite subjective, bridging, but that's the beauty of it.
We do that.
Huh?
We do that. That is the beauty of it, though. It's commercial, isn't it? It's like a commercial understanding. It's not like a resi mortgage or buy to let. Does it fit the rental income, etc.? It's just it's more. It's a proper deal.
Yeah, and I mean, there's pros and cons for that, isn't there? You know, the fact that it can be subjective.
Also means it can't be done.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes, you know, you could say this is a good deal based on these reasons, but again, it's subjective. Someone might say, look, I think that's not a good deal based on those reasons. So it's all about sort of structuring it and how strong your argument is to a certain extent. There's still criteria as well, but outside of that.
Good. So now BDM, how long have you been a BDM for?
5-6 years, something like that.
Amazing. And you're only 12. That's incredible. 13. 13. So what's it like? I mean, I tell you what I did want to talk to you about, because it's just, you've got a good LinkedIn following, and this has come up quite a lot recently about like how do we portray ourselves online? Because you're funny, right? I don't like to admit that to you, but you know what I mean. You're funny, but you know your stuff. Technically, you still understand the technical side. Has that been important to you in your career, that you don't lose that kind of authenticness as well? Because you don't want to not be taken seriously, but at the same time, you're not a serious person. Do you know what I mean? How do you combat that?
It's a good question, because it is a fine line sometimes. And this is a very serious industry. You know, you're talking about people's livelihoods. You know, when you're looking at some regulated deals, for example, that's their sole income. That's their life. That's that pension, their livelihood. That's a very important thing to remember. So obviously you have to be very serious when it comes to certain aspects of the role. But I also think it's good to get your personality out there, because, you know, although, you know, some people, they might say, oh, property excites me, to a certain extent, it's not the most exciting thing, you know, looking at valuation reports or talking about figures and stuff. So it's having a healthy balance between the two, and maybe knowing when to have a little bit of a joke and be less serious. I always use the example, or always say that you've got to be a chameleon when you work in sales. And what I mean by that is I've got brokers of all different backgrounds and ages. You know, I might speak to a broker or a client that's just facts, figures, doesn't want to necessarily have a joke, or doesn't want to talk about
it's analytical, that different side of their brain.
Yeah, exactly that, which is absolutely fine, by the way. That's just the way they sort of work. And that's down then for myself, being the salesperson, business development manager, to ascertain that first, you know, what they're like as a person, and then sort of be a chameleon, change my colours.
Don't go in heavy. Go in heavy with the jokes. You go, okay, we found out you don't like it.
Exactly that. But I also think it's important to establish a relationship as much as you can before you maybe make that decision on sort of how they are. So I tend to keep it quieter to begin with, and then once you sort of get a feel for how someone works, then you know you can adapt and be a chameleon, and then sort of be more like they are, I guess, in some ways.
But I mean, I talk to lots of BDMs, and I do think, like, yes, of course your product is important, there's no doubt, but people do want you to succeed as well, because they like you. There is an element of that. Like, again, having the same conversation with people, there's 240 lenders. You can't just be the quickest or the cheapest. That your BDMs are really important. And I think wanting to like your BDM, or wanting to see your BDM succeed, is a big part, or is certainly a part to play in why people go with certain companies. Do you not think?
Yeah, definitely. It's a trust thing. Always comes back to that. And that's the beauty of working in this industry, that a lot of my broker relationships are now sort of good friends of mine, just because we've worked so closely and built that trust over sort of the 5 years or however long that I've sort of known them.
This is what my missus says to me. She goes, "You just go out with your mates." I'm like, "I'm working." She goes, "You just see your mates." I'm like, "Yeah, but that's because I've worked a long time with the same people. It's not like
Yeah, exactly. And it is working still, and that is the lovely thing about it. It's still important to remember it's work as well as sort of going out and having a good time with your friends, and establishing new relationships and keeping your foot on the pedal to make sure that you're not sort of slacking at all. But it's all about trust. It's an oversaturated market. We know that. There's lots of lenders out there, and a lot of brokers will just use their top 5 to 10 lenders, if you like. So it's sometimes a challenge.
5 to 10.
Exactly that. And I think a lot of people don't give it enough time, because trust doesn't happen overnight. You can ring someone and have a great offering and then be like, why aren't they using us? It takes time sometimes. Some of my closest contacts and some of my best brokers, I know one in particular, I won't mention them, but for about a year, I was Pete, for about a year, I couldn't get in there, and it was I went in there and a few of them, we didn't really know each other, so they didn't really speak to me as much. And then it got to a point where I built that sort of trust with them, because it takes time. And then we did some decent sort of business levels moving forward. But it's one of those things where you have to
I think that, right? You're really short-sighted if you don't get a business off someone straight away and you just forget about it. Because I think if I look at some of my best broker relationships, especially over probably lending, they have come from having a conversation 3 or 4 years ago, and then you'll see them again, and you see them a couple of times more, a couple more touch points. Then, but we have got this deal, and then it didn't work out the first time for whatever reason, the market, etc. And then these guys are spending, looking at 4 or 5 different people with me throughout the year. Consistently, some of my best people I didn't do anything with for 3 or 4 years. You've got to play the long game, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. Give it time. Sometimes you might not give them as much attention as other people that are quite keen to use you and are being a little bit more responsive, should we say. But
money's money.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got a job to do at the end of the day. But just don't forget people necessarily. You might liaise with them every couple of months rather than every couple of weeks or whatever it might be. But you just got to stick at it, and what you put in will hopefully come out.
Yeah. So how do you feel like you've kind of risen through? Have you had decent mentors? Have you had decent people with you? What's the kind of the magic to getting to be a respected figure in a relatively short space of time?
Well, I don't know if you're referring to me there, but if you are, that's very kind.
Don't be disparaging like yourself. But you know what I mean, though. People like you, and that is the most important thing about BDMs. I genuinely think that. I mean, you've got to know the figures, but you could teach anyone that. If you haven't got the other bit that people want to work with you, then it isn't. I keep talking, but go on, sorry.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm sure there'll still be people out there that don't like me.
I can't stand you, but I'm talking about brokers.
Not me.
I do.
No, I've been very fortunate in my sort of 5-6 years in bridging that I've had some really decent mentors that I learned a lot from. I think one thing that I really enjoy doing is getting sort of constructive feedback, if you like, learning, looking at different things, learning from different people, and then getting feedback of what I'm doing, because it's the only way that you sort of perform, or you can perform better by seeing who's doing things well, learning from that, seeing what you're doing, and then seeing how you can maybe do things better. And that
it's difficult, isn't it? Because you can't copy someone like for like, because things that obviously you work with Pete Turner, great BDM, but you're so different in characters. If you just copied him, it wouldn't be authentic, would it? You'd never be you. I say you have to take a little bit from everyone. You don't take his hairline, do you? But you could take a couple of other things.
I might get there at some point, to be fair. I won't
it's a stress of BD.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, that's very true, and that's the thing. I mean, ultimately, you always have to stay true to yourself and be who you are. But there's little things that you can take from other people. I've seen, for a large amount of time, I was watching successful people in the industry, and I was thinking, I was then trying to do presentations like them, And then I came to the realization, I'm not them. So don't try and be them. You can take the good bits of what they do, but then ultimately you portray that in the way who you are.
I also think it gives that authenticity that, we talked about the main thing for us as business development people is trust. Is if they see you online and you are the way you are, and then you're just trying to be this corporate knobhead when you come out, like there's going to be no connection there. And with no connection means no trust. You've got to stay the same everywhere, haven't you?
Yeah, and then you come bang on about trust, because then you come across fake, and through fakeness you won't necessarily get that trust. So staying true to yourself is definitely a massive thing, and not trying to be someone who you're not, and being sort of confident with who you are. I guess it's definitely a tricky world in regards to like social media and pressures of being a certain way or being successful, those sorts of things. But same with that's in personal life, but also especially with sort of this industry of LinkedIn and stuff.
It's across both, the same problems you have, the same problems that people have with their normal personal social media is the same things we see on LinkedIn. You know what I mean? The same things that, like, you'll always look at stuff and wonder whether that's real or whether someone's being authentic, or people are nervous about putting stuff on. Let's go through that, actually, because you're good at social media. Like, you're good at doing the authenticity bit and talking about your business side. Does that come naturally, or is that something? Do you plan it? Like, is there a strategy behind it, or do you just like a bit of a post and hope type? And has it grown like that? Not there's anything wrong with posting and hoping, by the way. I think fair play to anyone who does anything.
No, definitely. I mean, I like to think I'm relatively creative in some ways. Sometimes posts just randomly come to me, and I might just jot them down and think, I'll look at that another day, and then sort of make a post about it. But
you do the other ones like I do. I think of something at night, and then I look at it in the morning and go, that was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
What was I thinking?
Yeah.
That's going to get me cancelled.
Yeah. But I still, with a few of my posts, have fallen into the trap of, how many likes am I going to get? Or, that post hasn't done very well.
Or like phoning up your mate in recruitment and telling them that you've got way more likes on your post than their post, that sort of thing.
Yeah, imagine doing that.
Yeah, no, as an example, I mean, that's just...
Yeah. Obviously, as an example, that would be weird to do something like that.
Weird, wouldn't it?
Even if you did.
No, but it is nice though. We do get like we like to be liked. That's why we're in business development, and it is a weird endorphin hit when people go, "Oh, that's quite funny."
Yeah, I think so. And I think again, as we were just saying, it comes back to sort of being authentic and it's again having a slight joke, but then also, with a few of the posts I've done, I've also put a serious, or I've put stuff about criteria and that sort of thing.
That's the benefit, right? Because no one would see that criteria stuff, which we know does not get any engagement, right? It doesn't. I could picture myself falling over a curb and get 150,000 people like it. If I talk about something that really adds value to the industry, no one gives a shit. But when I talk about something that adds value, people only see it because of the joke thing I've done. You know what I mean? Because you've created the people that want to see your next thing. So it is important, even though we know no one. If we just did the business posts, you'd have no one looking at it at all. So there is an element to both having to be it.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't get as many sort of likes or views and those sorts of things. Yeah. And I never actually used to get many inquiries or anything like that through sort of LinkedIn. But after doing a few posts where, they got actually a fair amount of likes, I actually got quite a few direct borrowers that sort of rang me, and they were sort of like, I saw your post, it made me laugh.
You do,
I'm in the industry, I've got a few projects on the go. Because again, it's those sorts of people as well. The time that we're in at the moment, and the industry in this specific time, it's more modern, and again, a lot of these people are people just like us, but they don't necessarily want it to be so boring as or these.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I like it when people phone and say stuff like that. Like, I see you online. You don't take yourself too seriously, but you know what you're talking about. You're like, cool. That's exactly what I want. So that's good. It works. But that's the same, right? Someone phones you because they see the joke. They know you're not a comedian just because you put a jokey post on, but they look through your stuff because of it.
Yeah, exactly. And if ultimately, if it gets you more business, there's plenty of ways to sort of skin a cat if you like. So LinkedIn, a lot of my brokers, obviously slightly different from what I do, but they get business off Facebook, Instagram, these sorts of things. So, as many relationships I've got, and that's one thing that I've tried to do as best I can, is just, regardless of whether you think a lead might come from something, just build as many sort of relationships as possible, because the more people I know, the more things I learn, and hopefully the better I'll do in the long run.
Yeah, no, definitely. And also, you don't know that touch point, do you? You don't know that one person you meet at that trade show that you couldn't help, or that one person that bumps into you in the pub and says this. You don't know where that lead's going. I've got so many of those stories from people where some of their biggest clients have come from a chance meeting one day, they end up working with them 4 years later, and they're massive for their business.
Yeah, definitely. It's never leave any stone unturned, really, isn't it?
Yeah, nice. So if there are kind of youngsters, like you're still a puppy, but you know what I mean. Yeah, if there's someone trying to get into it, into kind of being a BDM, into the bridging world, what kind of advice can you give, especially some that come from the internal business development side? Because I think there is an untapped talent there, and I seem to be banging that drum on every single fucking podcast at the moment. But there's a massive talent pool that we've missed. There's a gap, and there's a huge bunch of young people that want to get in. What's your advice to them? How do they kind of get that step and then be successful?
I think the main thing is just be prepared to sort of work hard and apply yourself. But I also think that, so I'm 28 years old. I think it's not necessarily the younger generation, but I think it's more apparent maybe in the people, not necessarily mine, but slightly younger than that there's a lot of people that are entitled, that maybe see, again, going back to that social media thing, see people being successful, or that's what people obviously show.
I would caveat with that as well, right? Because there is a lot of entitlement now, but I can completely understand why. I see what my kids are watching online about people that don't have to work and earn a shed load of money. So I get it. That's being ploughed into their psyche all the time that life should be easier.
No, exactly. And that's just what people want you to see. A lot of those people, it's not their lives. It's just what they want you to see. And it's incredibly toxic, both personal life as well as, your working life. But be prepared to work, because again, you might see, I can make loads of money as being a BDM, or I can make loads of money being a property developer. But they don't see the amount of hard work that actually goes into it. So as long as people aren't entitled and aren't just coming into it to think, in a year's time, I'll be sort of the best at this, best at that. It's good to have ambitions and want to proceed and go further in life and go further in your career. But you have to put the work in, I guess. And the one thing that I will say that has helped me, and I mentioned it before, is learn from as many people as you can. And a lot of that comes with taking constructive criticism well, and sort of adapting and changing maybe what you do to progress.
Yeah. I mean, you've obviously had the benefit of working closely with your dad, who was a great originator, Nick Hilton, who was the who was fantastic originator and stuff. Not many people know he's your dad, do they? It's been kept quite secret, but it's nice that you get to work together and you get to learn off him.
Yeah,
actually, what's it like with Nick? I love you both, right? And we always made that joke about him being your secret dad, but what's it like to work with guys like that who can kind of? He's championed you from the beginning, only since before you worked with him. He's always what's that relationship like?
Yeah, it's fantastic. And again, where I've had some really good sort of role models that I can learn from and work under during my sort of 5-6 years in bridging, that's what's helped me be much better and progress. Sort of, I've only progressed a little bit in the sort of 5 or 6 years, but it's helped me do that maybe quicker than it would do if I hadn't had it. But yeah, the likes of sort of Nick Hilton, he's done it for a little while now. He's seen it all, and he's a fantastic guy. I don't want to say too many nice things because it'll go to his head.
Oh yeah, he's the only one that watches this. See if they get more likes than he did.
But he's so knowledgeable, and just the way he knows so much about bridging, but then also so much about relationships and how to tackle.
That's the magic, though, isn't it? That's the magic originator. That's the magic of BDM. It's having the technical knowledge, but still have that kind of character that people actually want to work with you as well.
Yeah, exactly that. And people that believe in you. I'm fortunate enough to have
Name
these
some.
people.
Let's be nice. Let's name who else
Who's
has
what?
been in your career. Who else has been in your career that's given you a step up?
Ian Miller Hawes, Andy Reid, Ros Kaywood, Jonathan Seeley at Hope Capital, where I was before. All of those guys were probably instrumental in sort of the success that I had.
I love it when people name people on here, only because it's nice if someone's listening and they hear their name. They're like, you get that nice feeling of, oh shit, I have done something nice for someone. It's a good. I've never had my name mentioned by anyone. It's nice to do someone else's.
Yeah, but why would someone mention your name, like, respectfully?
Well, I shall tell you why, and I'm going to bring this up, and it's not relevant to your podcast, but my colleague was on another podcast the other day, financial services one, and they asked her, can you think of anyone who's a fantastic advocate for females in financial services, given that at the time my company was 80% women? And she said, Michael Allison from Roma. And I was devastated. I'm like, you couldn't think of anyone closer to home that might also be an advocate for women in financial services. Like,
but
no, not really. But yeah, so that's another time I didn't get a shout out.
you did get a shout out when that client of yours thought you were your wife's dad.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, listen,
Now, this is going to turn into a back and forth of, what about this time? So I'm going to be the bigger man and stop. So what else? What else do you need? Like character-wise, what are you thinking? What's the important bits about being? Because we look at the laughy, jokey side, we look at the technical side, but the business has been fucking hard recently for everyone, and it's the same for the years. So what do you think, like character-wise? What do people need to get into? What do they need to understand as well?
Resilience, I guess. It's because again, people see all of the positives and stuff like that, which I think it's probably more important. I probably need to do it. You need to maybe address some of the negatives as well, because you can still have a positive spin on those. Because lots of people do think that it is just, going out drinking, taking people out, having a jolly, business will just come to you naturally.
That's only really 90% of it. There's another bit.
No.
There's
98, 99% of it. No, the 2% is tough. Really tough.
Obviously, we're joking. The main bit is tough, isn't it?
Exactly. So you've got to be resilient and be tough, and as I say, work hard and don't let all of the sort of negativeness bog you down. You have to sort of stay open-minded and stay positive, and that's a massive thing, positivity, because it's a very stressful industry. Borrowers, brokers, lenders, solicitors, it's stressful for everyone. Oh, probably more so for the borrower, but there's stress at all of those different sort of areas of the chain. So staying positive, working hard, staying true to yourself, I think are the key things. And it goes back to what I said before about things don't happen overnight sometimes. So if you are, I've had it before, I've had a couple of months where I'm shy on completions or something like that. It's all about how you sort of bounce back from that. Not to come across desperate maybe then to your brokers, because they'll be like, oh,
it's hard though, isn't it? So it's hard when things aren't going your way. It's hard to maintain that composure in front of clients. I get that. I've had some shit times recently where you just like, but you still got to go out for the next 10. But the next time that person sees you, and I just said this on another podcast, but the next time someone sees you is the only time they're going to see you that month. So it doesn't matter that your life has just fallen apart just before. You've got to give them the best part of you.
Well, so hopefully my girlfriend's not going to watch this podcast, but she might.
She definitely does, because she watches all my podcasts.
Brilliant! Number one fan. Okay.
Yeah, no, she's a big fan.
Brilliant. So I gave her I told her the other day. So I think we were arguing once on like a Monday, bickering over something silly. Like I then left my boxes on the floor and then put them in the dirty linen basket.
Shocking. Put them in the wash bin like we've told you.
But so where I'm customer facing, I said, I got a bit annoyed by it, and I'm going into this meeting, so I need to put a smile on my face and maybe not take that sort of bad energy in there with me. So I said to her, like, we need to leave that at home, and then maybe we can
Yeah.
presumably
Readjust my pants on the
when
floor.
you get home. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's tricky because whatever happens in your personal life, you know, in some ways, well, you do and you don't. It depends on who you speak to, because as I said before, some of my brokers are so close to me now that I can just sort of be a little bit more open with them about these sorts of things, about if I'm struggling in my personal life or whatever it might be. But with a lot of broker relationships, you know, they might be new, or they might be new, they might be new, or they might be people I haven't spoke to in a little while. You know, you don't want to walk into the meeting.
Yeah.
And start
Me
talking.
and the missus as soon as you walk in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
but
might
I mean
not be
that
in
is a
that.
bit of the acting of our jobs, isn't it? Is that like, because you don't want to again, if you want to give the best energy you can to every single person you see, and if that means, you know, having to give yourself a slap before you start and get in there
Yeah,
and stay
yeah.
focused, that's part of the job, isn't it? It's part of the
But
job is to stay positive.
that's the chameleon aspect, that people have different energies. So
Yeah.
again, someone's energy might be going in there and smashing out a presentation and with all of these figures and, you know, market commentary and all this stuff, or someone's energy might be that you go in there and you have a little laugh about the bicker you had with your girlfriend, because they can relate to it. It's just what
Yeah.
people relate to, and that's the key for BDM, is
Yeah,
finding
good
out
point.
how you can relate with someone, because ultimately then you should be able to get more business out of them, like form stronger relationships, stronger bonds.
Amazing. We are going to leave it there because that's the smartest thing you've ever said, and I've known you a long time. So I'll have to.
Cheers, mate.
I will, but it's been really good, and genuinely, I did want to get you on. I know we always joke about it, but it's good to see both sides of you, right? Because I know you as a hard-working BDM. I also know you as a good guy. So it's nice. Hopefully, people see that. If people want to get hold of you, obviously, all of your socials will eventually be on ours when you can bother to send them over. What's the best way to get hold of you? If someone wants to talk to you about Glenhawk as a you know, products that wise, or just chat to you about being a BDM, what's the best way of speaking to you?
Choose their poison. WhatsApp, text, call, Zoom, face-to-face meeting, LinkedIn message.
Therapy gin, smoke signal.
Yeah, exactly. Code, whatever it might be. I mean, I'm a firm believer of face-to-face contact is the best thing you can do. So meetings are the best for me. But yeah, if someone wants to have a quick chat on the phone or send me an email, whatever it might be, just let me know.
Get in contact. Amazing. Thank you very much, mate. Genuinely, I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. It's been another episode of NRG Insights. Cheers, mate. I appreciate your time.